Welcome to Hanging at the Hangar Bar. I'm Scott.
I'm Candace.
I'm Lariah.
And I'm Lacey. Grab a drink and come hang with us at the Hangar Bar.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this week's episode of Hanging at the Hangar Bar. You have Lacey, Lariah, Candace, and Scott with you this week.
Woohoo!
And we are going to talk about rides in Walt Disney World that need reimagination.
Ooh.
I know. So we're going to talk about the rides themselves, what we don't appreciate about them now, and what ideas we have for the revamp.
And let's include, even if we think the ride is pretty classic and good now, what we might change about it too.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Doesn't mean the ride is bad. Doesn't mean that we would necessarily want it to change. But if it could use a revamp, this is what we would do to it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. So who wants to start?
I guess I will.
Go for it.
You might be shocked about this one, so buckle up. I think that Living with the Land could use a little bit more razzle-dazzle to that ride, because my only reason for that is that I just feel like with all the changes coming to Epcot, we're losing some of those precious rides that have like no like Disney characters, and it makes me sad. So I don't want to add Disney characters to it, but I just think that there could be something else they could do with that ride to make it more appealing to a lot of people who aren't as interested as we are in those kind of rides. So I'm trying to think. I mean, we've talked about it before, and I think getting off the ride at some point and doing like either a taste test of some of the produce or like a little brief 5-minute tour of the greenhouse. And I know you can do that with like an extra charge, but I think just adding something else to that ride would make it a little bit more appealing.
What would you think if, and I know we've talked about this before as a suggestion, like where you would buy like a small basket of vegetables at the end of the ride. What if they gave that to you at the front of the ride so you can enjoy it as you're rolling through?
Ooh.
Like popping some cherry tomatoes
And
in
cucumber
your mouth.
slices and...
That
or
would
some
be
snap
cool.
peas or
Yeah.
something that they're growing that day.
I love a good ride, like a snack ride.
Right.
I love that.
And that would be the perfect ride to just sit there and have a snack, or maybe they're making smoothies out of the stuff that they're growing in the land.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I
Like-
love that idea.
So the ride itself, and I was thinking the same thing. That's why I kind of clarified, like, we think that ride is pretty perfect the way it is. But it may need a little bit of oomph or updating. And the ride itself, what would you do to it?
Well, not that I necessarily want it to appeal more to kids, because I think that having a ride for adults or older people is good, because that's a one ride you really don't have to worry about screaming children if you really want to get out of the heat and into the air conditioning and all of that. But it would be cool to incorporate something to maybe get families more interested in it. I just don't want that ride to go away. That's my whole thing. Like, it's perfect, but...
What if they were to add a segment of like the other things in Walt Disney World that they're doing to help the environment, or something like that, like the solar farm and all the other measures that they're taking as far as like getting rid of single-use plastics and all that kind of thing, and just kind of draw it back to where you're at that moment. So it's not like, oh, out on some farmland somewhere, this is what they're doing, or here in our greenhouse, but as a whole,
Yeah.
what the Disney company is doing to support that.
Maybe update the videos in that one section before you get into the greenhouses to make them more relevant to today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just a little bit of an update, maybe.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, any little thing. It doesn't have to be crazy. There doesn't have to be, any Disney characters involved if they don't want to.
Go upstairs and eat at Garden Grill.
Exactly. Yeah. Or maybe have Farmer Mickey appear sometimes. I mean, I would love to see Farmer Mickey harvesting some vegetables in the greenhouse.
Oh my God, that would be adorable.
Wouldn't it? I mean, I wouldn't
Or
mind
Scientist
that.
Mickey.
Yeah. Exactly. That I love
Like
that.
agro scientist Mickey.
Yeah. With,
I
like-
want that plush doll.
Don't you though?
Like, I'm just picturing that in my head right now. I want it.
Josh, tomorrow, call us. We'll talk.
Yeah, just any little thing so that, you know, they're like, oh, you want to go see Mickey? Or, you know, even though I just said it doesn't have to be a Disney character, but it would be cool to incorporate just one little thing to make it a little bit more appealing to people, whether that be eating the produce or seeing Mickey gathering produce or something like that.
Yeah.
I think it needs to be a little longer.
I wouldn't mind sitting in there for a half an hour
Mhm.
through greenhouses.
Just because it's such a big topic where
Mhm.
you can't cover all of that in just a short amount of time. And we really love informational rides and the importance of
nerds.
all that
We are.
stuff.
Proud nerds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And I think just drawing it back, like with the way of the world right now, I think drawing it back to how it specifically relates to me as a person
Mm-hmm.
and not the whole world. Like you need to get into people's inner circle, as it were, and show them how it relates to them. And like, if the farms go away, we're all going to be in a lot of trouble.
Right.
And if we don't take care of the environment, we're all going to be in a lot of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just helping people to understand that more on a personal level, more than grand scale, would make an impact.
Agreed.
Yeah, and even something kind of educational like about, okay, so global climate change is a thing. And if we are not going to do what we need to do to slow the rate of change, how do we as a species survive? What needs to change in our farming? What needs to change in order for us to continue to survive as a species? I just think that would be an interesting thing to cover.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Okay, so are we done talking about the land? Because I'm going to jump to something in Epcot that has to be changed soon.
Jump.
Do it.
Yeah, go.
Okay, Test Track.
Ugh.
That is a ride that needs changes.
Yeah.
I think they should go back to the original iteration. It was way better.
The original iteration was a phenomenal iteration. I don't really like the one now. It feels too blah to me. And I don't
Lazy.
know. Yeah, it feels very lazy-ish. Like they let's just make everything dark. Let's make everything Tron-like and then throw people around at 60 miles an hour on the track. And the queue is the best part of that entire attraction right now.
Where you're building the car.
Yeah, where you're building a car. So that one is definitely one that I think has to be revamped.
Yeah.
How would I change it? How would you all change it other than going back to the original test track, test dummy iteration? You know what? They could Candace, you're gonna crinkle your nose at me. They are doing so much IP in Epcot right now. Change it to cars.
I wouldn't hate that, but I love the movie Cars, the first one. Candace doesn't like that, but
Candace, use your words.
I don't want to.
But I think that could be a really cool change to that. Like, the track is not set up in a way that they could do it the way Disneyland did Cars, to where you could do like a race with another car. But you could definitely set that up where like Lightning McQueen is getting ready for the big race.
yeah. You know, another thing though, to sneak IP in without it being like in your face IP. So this is for you, Candace.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think it would be cool if they kind of, you know how when you're watching movies, they have Easter eggs of other movies?
Yes.
Why don't they do that with some of the rides that are not based on movies? Like, for instance, Test Track. What if you drove by Radiator Springs? Like, it's just there and you just drove by it.
That's a good idea. Really good idea.
Yeah, like change the outside to where like you're on the inner.
Like
wonder
where you're
if-
on Route 66.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wonder if like but like I'd want the Imagineers to figure out how to tell that story the right way, because you don't want to end up on the interstate bypassing Radiator Springs. It's almost like they need to reverse the track and start out at 60 miles an hour around the track like you're on the interstate. Something happens that makes you get onto Route 66 and you go through Radiator Springs. You go through some of those little towns and that kind of thing. They'd almost have to reverse the ride track.
That's a great idea, though, because then you could put the story in and you would have a combination of quote-unquote thrill ride, as thrilling as rolling down the interstate is, and then classic Disney dark ride.
Right. And, like, even if you wanted to have it be thrown back to the movie a little bit, once you get off the interstate, maybe because they do the rumble strips and they do some of the little you're dodging things where maybe once you're inside, you have to do some of those things on Route 66. Yeah, I like that idea.
To get to Radiator Springs.
Yeah.
I'll allow it.
Yeah, just like, because I think that's the biggest thing with us is like, I feel like for the most part, our favorite rides are not like IP Disney, like they're not based off of movies, right?
Right.
Because you like Haunted Mansion, that was a ride first.
Yes, it was.
And I love Living with the Land, has nothing to do with a movie.
But maybe it should.
Make a Living with the Land movie?
Yeah.
You mean Disney Nature?
Oh, yeah.
No, that would be cute. They don't really have any
Like farming.
farming type of, yeah. Well, Zootopia.
Well,
Have you seen that?
that's-
I love that
I went there
movie.
first, but that's not the direction the movie
Actually,
goes.
don't say that. I don't want Zootopia to be involved with it.
No, anyway, let's go on. Let's not sprinkle the idea of more IP in Epcot to anybody. Blech.
But I think they could do it the right way. But do we agree that Test Track needs to be updated?
Yes, absolutely.
Because right now it's a walk-on by for me. And I don't understand why it's so popular. Because if you really want that experience, go drive down the interstate in Florida.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't remember a lot about that ride.
It's
don't.
forgettable.
Yeah. All I remember is when you are blasted outside.
Right.
That's the only part I can really remember. So when you're talking about Tron lights and stuff, all that's going through my mind is when we were on the People Mover or when we're in Space Mountain, because they have kind of those same things. That's
Yep.
all. I don't remember a lot of Test Track. So yeah.
It's not a great ride right now.
No.
Not a great ride.
Okay, what else? I'm sorry. Are we done with that one?
I think we're done with that one.
Okay, moving on.
Do you have one, Candace? A ride that you think needs to be reimagined?
I got to think about this. Let this marinate a little bit so somebody else can go.
I'm just going park by park.
I'm sure I do, but
Okay, so I have another one. I'm big about the rides that have so much potential that Disney's just not using that potential. Kali River Rapids in Animal Kingdom.
I knew you were going to say that, because I was going to say that too, where it needs to change.
Yeah.
okay, well, we're in the second iteration of that as well. Like the first iteration, it was the story of how terrible logging is
Like how it's killing the atmosphere.
and the deforestation and all of that. But people thought it was too preachy, so they've scaled back on that so that the props and stuff are still there, but you wait in a long, long line for a very short ride that's not any different than any other water park raft ride that you can go on anywhere. So how do you bump it up? How do you plus it?
Again, thinking IP. Sorry, I'm just connecting everything today. I don't know why I'm connecting everything to IP. But think about the Jungle Cruise movie with The Rock. Retheme that one to be Jungle Cruise the movie.
Okay.
She don't like that.
We have a Jungle Cruise in Magic Kingdom that's
Right.
perfectly lovely and is what the movie was originally based on.
Right.
Is that story and that IP worthy of two rides? Because if you touch the Jungle Cruise in Magic Kingdom, I'm going to hurt somebody.
No, and I'm not saying touch the Jungle Cruise in Magic Kingdom more than they already have.
Right.
I'm saying, like, the thrilling parts of the Jungle Cruise movie, like when they're on the Nile and they're in the rapids and the boats are like doing like like when they're being shot at, when they're all of those kind of like action adventure types, because the Jungle Cruise in Magic Kingdom is the old silly jokes. It's the backside of water. They could almost do more of the adventure side of it in Animal Kingdom.
Okay.
And just like Jungle Cruise 2, or I don't know what they would title it. They could leave it Kali River Rapids, but the theming of it would be more akin to like a true whitewater rafting ride with a cool story wrapped around it. And the first thing that popped into my mind was that Jungle Cruise movie, because I like that movie.
Okay, and is that in the Asia section of Animal
It is.
Kingdom? Okay. And
Well, is it? Or is it still in Africa? Kali River. That sounds very African.
does it?
I don't know.
Because my only thing is that you have to have it geographically correct.
Yeah.
And if the movie takes place in Africa, but that ride is located
In
in
Asia.
Asia,
Yeah.
you can't just dump it to dump it.
What I kind of have an idea that maybe will make sense. What if they did that ride after a resort? Like the resort in Animal Kingdom. Right? Isn't there?
So Animal Kingdom Lodge.
Yeah.
So
Tell
tell
me
me
more.
I don't know. Just kind of like themed it
Jinx.
after, if it's in Africa.
It's in Asia.
It's
It's in
Okay.
Asia?
Yeah.
Okay. Then
Well,
throw
the
that out
thing
the window.
is with the
But a great
Disney
idea.
rides, like I feel like a lot of what we appreciate with a lot of Disney rides is because what I'm thinking about is like with the Jungle Cruise, you have the jokes. Without that, it'd just be another boat ride with like fake animals, you know?
Yeah.
And the backside of water, which is
Right.
the ninth wonder of the world. So-
Right. And then we have Splash Mountain, which is getting redone. But what did we like about that? We love the music and the characters. So I feel like with rides like, and you know, with Expedition Everest, we have the Yeti. Would we like it as much without that Yeti? I don't know. But
It'd be less terrifying.
right, it would be. But when you think of that ride without a Yeti, would we like it as much?
Because it would destroy half the story. I
Right.
mean, that's,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I think what's missing is like a story that's not like
Preachy.
preachy, but it's just like Scott said, like a adventure story. So because a lot of the rides that we're going on, if they're not, it usually tells a story of some sort.
Ooh, a new Indiana Jones story. It doesn't have to be one of the stories that's
Ooh.
currently there,
Oh,
but make it an Indiana Jones theme.
That would be cool.
that would be cool.
They don't have a
love that.
Indiana Jones ride, do they?
They have an Indiana Jones show over in Hollywood Studios.
Okay. Yeah.
But there's nothing, but that would fit really well in that park.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be a cool way to retheme that ride, would be the mini adventures.
Mm-hmm.
That could be a fun way to do that. Like, I'm trying to think, have you two ever been, did we take you on that ride?
No.
No.
We were about to go,
Yeah.
but then
We just thought it just didn't
I'm
look
not
that
a huge
appealing.
fan. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of those kind of rides
Right.
because I'm always afraid it's going to tip over and I'm going to drown.
Yeah.
I don't like that being strapped in and then whoop.
Right.
It's
Well, and also you
terrifying.
don't want to walk around wet all day.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, if you're going to do that one, do it late in the day so you don't have to walk around with wet socks all day.
Yeah.
But yeah, if they were to I'm trying to think, I don't think there's any dark sections of that ride that they could like theme to like the snake pit, or
But there could be.
There could be. It wouldn't be that hard to add. And that would be an easy story for them to create and tell.
Yeah.
Okay, that's sold. That's what I want that to be. I want that
Yeah.
to be an Indiana Jones ride.
I'd go on
That
it if
would
it
be
was.
cool.
I
Yeah.
love that.
I'm about it.
Well, also, I was going to say, which the Indiana Jones theme kind of trumps my idea. But since there's the Yeti in Animal Kingdom, they should put a sea monster. in Kali River
Ooh.
Rapids.
That would be a good one too, I think.
Yes.
But it's in Asia.
I'm sure
They have
there
oceans in Asia.
is some mythological.
There could be something that they don't know.
creature.
Godzilla.
Candace, you can't look at me. You were dead serious. Godzilla.
Well,
He destroys
I love
cities.
that. I love that.
didn't he come up out of the water?
Yes, he did.
There
Here's
you
a sea
go.
monster.
That would be cool, Godzilla. But I'm still like, Indiana Jones would be fun.
Loria's thinking about this.
I love Godzilla.
Yeah, don't get her started. Why'd you say that, Candace?
I'm so
Now
sorry.
You opened up a door.
I'm sorry.
Godzilla is just an alligator that stands on his hind
Hey.
legs.
Watch it.
He's a
No,
lizard.
he also breathes fire.
So he's kind of a dragon.
Yeah.
There we go. Don't say it's an alligator, otherwise she gets really defensive.
Okay, so a dragon would be a cool thing, and that would fit in with Asia as well. Like a dragon-themed water ride.
So what if you make it like a mythological? Since they couldn't do Beastly Kingdom, what if you spun it so it was like all about the dragons, and you call it like the Lair of the Dragon, and you have some of those Asian influences pulled into it, where you're like trying to spot the dragons and trying to like get away from them because it's kind of adventure-y and something like that.
That would be cool.
Disney Imagineering, if you're listening, these are fantastic ideas.
Yeah. This is the winter episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
We
that would be
love
cool, because they
dragons.
could pull in some of the cultural
Yes.
influences from Asia
yes.
and still have an adventure thing that's not preachy.
Yeah.
And you get to see dragons.
Mm-hmm. And they could sneak in. They could sneak in Maleficent. They could sneak in Figment.
Stop
they
it.
could sneak in
No,
Do you want me to hit her?
no,
Elliot.
it's okay.
Just sneak in.
No.
Just, like, poke their head
No,
out.
just leave it for the purity that it is.
Okay.
Poke their head.
I mean, because if you leave Mushu
That's
out of
what
the
she said.
equation, we're not doing it at all.
No. Whoa. Sorry. I
Dishonor on you, dishonor on your
sorry.
family,
Cow.
dishonor on your cow.
I will take that dishonor.
A Mulan-themed ride.
No.
Dishonor. You said it. Dishonor in your house.
We were
Dishonor in
talking
your
about
family.
Mushu, who is a dragon. But I also just said leave the Disney dragons out of it and give it for the purity of the dragons that there are.
Yes, I agree.
No.
We can go find those dragons elsewhere in the parks.
Yes, we can.
And we could, yeah. Okay.
you got in trouble.
I did, but I deserved it. So,
It's about. We've only been through like 30 of these episodes, and finally somebody else got the death stare, other than me. Yay! Okay, so what other rides around Disney World need to be rethemed or reimagined?
Space Mountain.
Ooh, that one might be a little controversial.
I don't care.
What would you do to Space Mountain?
Saucy Lariah. She hasn't even had a drink yet this morning. Is that coffee getting you all fired up?
Coffee
hovering.
does way more to me than alcohol does. So,
Ugh. Okay, just get on with your thing.
well, I don't know. It just needs revamped. It's just
What don't you like about it?
that, like, I am in pain.
That you have to wear a neck brace off?
Yeah, I don't appreciate the fact that you need a chiropractic adjustment after it and they don't offer those services on the way out of the ride.
No.
So Disney loves their sponsors
They do.
for rides. Space Mountain, sponsored by NASA.
Okay.
Please.
That launch, like that tunnel where they do the lights sort of going up, they could turn that, like, I know we're not big video screen fans, but as you're going up the lift hill, that video could be sort of the space shuttle being tipped into its spot. So, like, right when you get to the top and they say launch, that's when you take your first, it's like
Hill?
actual your first drop hill. And then, like, it could be like NASA, like all of these beautiful pictures that are coming out from the new satellites and that kind of thing. It could be, and it still keep it a dark roller coaster where you can't see where you're going, but you're going through the universe. You're going through all of these different things, and that keeps it very future focused in Tomorrowland.
Because you could
love
change the
that.
pictures as more come out.
Yeah, and as
Yes.
pictures get better, and as we learn more about what's out
And they
beyond,
find more
it would
string
be,
on Mars.
Disney loves being able to update their rides easily. That makes it an easy ride to update and makes it a new ride for people. Every time you go on it, it could be a different galaxy. They could have 6 or 7 different versions of the ride.
Okay, as you're going through, the first thing you go through is a black hole.
Ooh.
And then you're going through all the different galaxies.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you see aliens.
Yes, real aliens.
What?
Y'all need to calm down with that. Can't you just have science for the sake of science?
Yes, I was kidding.
I wonder if NASA would sponsor something like that. Have they ever had a government sponsor for any of their rides?
Well, what about Mission Space? Isn't that one kind of?
It's NASA Light. I don't think it's...
Because I wouldn't mind getting rid of that ride altogether.
Right.
And
Yeah.
just having all
Well,
the
but they
focus.
just put in Space 220, so they can't tear that down because, you know,
What does
God,
that
Are you
mean?
sure?
Space 220 is a restaurant.
where they lift you up and you're eating in outer space.
Well, yes. They lift you up, but you never leave the ground.
Right.
Oh, so it's just fake.
Yes.
Right.
It's like a
to get to the
simulation.
restaurant, you get in an elevator that takes you
Oh.
220 miles into the
No,
sky.
I'm not riding any more Disney elevators. No, I'm sorry.
After your stink experience with Astro Orbiter.
I want to eat at a space restaurant.
I do too,
So
but
you should go out and watch videos of Space 220. But when you get up there, and I'm using air quotes, so they put you, like, to get up to the restaurant, you go into this space that says it's an elevator, and you go up this 220-mile long tube, and then once you get to the restaurant, the windows are all looking out over space. You can see Earth. You can see
An occasional space dog will fly by.
a space dog will fly by. Astronauts will come floating by.
I'll eat there for lunch. Are you guys game
Okay.
for
Oh
that?
yeah, I want to go
Yeah.
try
Put
it.
that-
yeah, we'll go
Yeah.
try it.
It's
on the
a
rough stuff.
spendy restaurant. It's a pre-fee restaurant,
We'll
but
have to
yeah,
wait till the dining plan comes back. But then,
Yeah.
yeah.
even if it doesn't, I'd be willing to go. But
Oh my gosh. Okay.
yeah, Space 220 sounds like a cool place.
Yeah. Maybe a one and done, but, you know,
Right.
at least you can say you tried it.
Yeah.
it's
like
something very new
beer
and
gas.
different.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, so going back to Space Mountain, yeah, I like that idea of theming that less about just being dark, because I don't think I've ever been on Space Mountain just because it's not my jam.
well, you went on it with me.
Did I?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't remember that. So it tells you what I think of that ride that I don't remember it. But is it like stars? Like as you're going through, or is it just
you're
pitch
going
black?
through tunnels with like lights and it goes zoom, 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 like that, and you're going through.
That was amazing.
Thank you. I'm drunk, and you go through. No, not really, but you go through that, and then it's completely dark except for when you're going through those tunnels. I
Okay.
believe.
yeah,
But other than that, it's just like completely dark. Which, yeah, why call it Space Mountain?
if you're
it's
not going to
not
be in space.
spacey.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's really jerky because you can't see where you're going, so you don't know how to
Yeah.
let your body fall,
Right.
which is why you need the chiropractic adjustment at the end of it.
and a
Mhm.
neck brace.
Yeah.
and- Yeah.
yeah, I think that theme by NASA is the way to go.
Uh-huh.
Well, and in the People Mover, you can kind of see what's going on in there too, because you
Yeah.
go through it
Yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah.
But so
Yeah, and so like think about like with my idea of NASA and that first lift hill being like imagery of the space shuttle lifting into space into its upright spot, or however they're doing space shuttles now. It could be funded by a private company, but we'll talk about that in a second. So the People Mover is moving through, it goes between the two lift tracks. The people on the People Mover could be seeing that space shuttle rise too
that would be cool.
as you're going through,
That'd
like
be
the
amazing.
spectators, and then if you're on the ride, it feels like you're actually in the space shuttle.
Oh, holy crap, that would be so freaking
Yeah.
awesome.
See, this is what they need to be focusing on instead of just continuously adding more.
But with that said, they can't touch the People Mover.
No,
No.
no.
No,
That
No.
ride is perfect.
yeah, there's nothing that needs
Yeah.
to change about that.
And
ride.
so even if NASA doesn't want to fund it or to sponsor it, you could do SpaceX, or SpaceX is Tesla, right?
I think so.
So either Jeff
Oh.
Bezos and his penis rocket, or Elon Musk and his rocket.
I would prefer not to think about either one of their rockets. Thank you very much.
Oh, that's good.
Jeff
It is.
Bezos' rocket looks like a penis.
I know that it does. Let's move on. Let's just move on.
Lacey's going to Google penis rocket now.
It's not on your work computer.
Do I now have to officially mark this one as not safe for work?
I think you might.
Just make sure you're wearing headphones. Disclaimer, too late, but it's... Okay, so what other rides as she looks up Jeff Bezos' penis rocket?
Stop with that.
It really is, though.
wow.
That is.
Straight out of Austin Powers.
Johnson.
Johnson. I'm trying to think of what else. Pecker. Oh.
Trying to think of all those Austin Power jokes that they go through.
I know. I can only remember the boobs ones.
Right. Willie, look at the...
Privates.
Okay, so what other rides need to be rethemed?
Oh.
Are there any other major ones that we can think of?
Rethemed.
Rethemed, reimagined.
Updated.
Let's talk about one that they're definitely doing, that they've announced they're doing, and will be closing to redo it fairly soon. What do we think about the Splash Mountain retheme?
I'm excited for that. I feel like Princess and the Frog deserves a lot more attention than what it gets.
Right.
You know me and Princess and the Frog. That I'm
do.
stoked.
Yeah,
for
and that
new
ride, that movie has now been popular. It's amongst the best Disney flicks now for 13 years. So it's not like it doesn't have staying power.
Right. And yet it's silently strong. It's not
Right.
like, let's force this down your throats.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like it kind of lives in the shadow of like Frozen.
Right.
Ugh,
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
doesn't everything.
I rewatched those movies not too long ago because I was babysitting for my boss's kids and she loves Disney and she wanted to watch both the Frozens and I rewatched them. I really just do not understand the hype. They're not horrible movies. They're not. They're funny. They have pretty good music, but I don't know what the hype is about them because Tangled, I prefer Tangled like over that one. I think it's more colorful, it's funny, and you got a lot more like outdoorsy scenes in it. Do you not like Tangled, Laura? Oh yeah, you don't like Tangled.
Not really, just because it kind of did the same thing with Princess and the Frog with how quick it came out. It kind of overshadowed it while everybody was like, Tangled, Tangled. And I was still like, hey, Princess and the Frog.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm excited for Splash Mountain to be. I feel like it's been needing some new stuff, even though the songs are cute, the characters are cute, but the underlining, like, you know,
Yeah.
the whole thing with it needs to be done.
Well, and for Disney's storytelling point, with Song of the South not being available on Disney Plus for people to watch, which we're not going to get behind the politics on that. It's just not out there. It's a very hard movie to find.
Yeah.
But the story behind that ride is not relevant anymore to people because they haven't seen it. Where I think Princess and the Frog, people are aware, they like the story. But when you take that story element away from Splash Mountain as it is now, it's just a water ride. Because the characters really don't mean anything. People don't identify with the story. They don't get it.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a matter of bringing it back to relevance and in a more inclusive culture situation.
Exactly.
Yeah, and the more I think about how they're retheming that one, I like it better because we talk about original stories a lot. they're not telling the Princess and the Frog story
No,
in that
it's
ride.
going to be original story after the fact.
Right after the movie, it's like following Tiana on her adventures after the movie, which I think, as cool as I think it would be to have strangers or friends on the other side as like right before the drop, that would be cool. And they could probably still do that. They could do a recall to that song fairly easily, but just having it be new IP, new storytelling that eventually Splash Mountain will become another movie involving Tiana if they do this story right, which I think could be really cool. Again, making movies out of rides instead of making rides out of movies. Did I say
Yeah.
that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, I don't know if this has been done, and this is a little off topic, but do you think after they do that, then they're gonna redo Port Orleans French Quarter? Am I saying
Yeah,
that
I don't
right?
think they need to.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll put a lot of Tiana theming in that because it's already, unless they add like a Tiana's restaurant or something like that to
Or
it.
they redo the main pool area to be away from that scary looking sea serpent slide thing
Right.
with Neptune on the top, even though that's a callback to a Mardi Gras float. I could see them retheming that pool area to something with the Bayou and Tiana and
Because
Lewis.
it's already Tiana themed. It's
It
already,
is?
yeah, because
Okay.
that movie all takes place in New Orleans.
Very strong New Orleans vibes, and
Okay.
like the band is the Fantasia Alligators.
Okay.
Right. So like
They've got statues of them.
if you watch Princess and the
Yeah.
Frog when they're in New Orleans and you look at the architecture that they've drawn, then you go to Port Orleans French Quarter,
the same.
It's the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I know, with the Polly, it was more Lilo and Stitch, and now it's definitely more Moana and stuff like that. So I was curious to see, because I like that. And like we saw a video on, which we might have to do a separate episode about this, but with the contemporary being
Incredibles.
yeah, which is such a good idea. See, I like that where it's very subtle. I love subtle Disney. I
And
love
even
it.
seeing some of the reimagined rooms in the Poly with the Moana theming to
Yeah.
them. It's subtle. It's not smack.
Yeah.
Here's Moana. Smack. Here's the Incredibles.
Yeah.
Smack. We're going to cram this down your throat.
Right.
Yeah, I think for the most part they're doing a pretty good job.
Agreed. I still think they need the island of Tafiti
Yeah.
as an option.
Yeah.
I really do.
Heck, the more I've thought about that from go back and listen to one of our previous episodes where we come up with that idea at Disney World. Like Disney should go buy an island and call it Tafiti and have it be a resort
No,
island.
not Tafiti. Montanui.
Montanui,
Excuse me.
yeah.
I misspoke.
Yeah. Montanui and have it be a resort destination.
Yes.
Out in like not Hawaii, not California, not the Caribbean. Have it be out in the Pacific.
Like Fiji.
Like Fiji. Have an island out there that's truly a Moana resort. I think that would be so cool.
I think so too.
Okay, so the only park we haven't touched yet is Hollywood Studios. Is there anything in Hollywood Studios that you think needs like a big retheme or reimagining?
We've spoke about it before, but I think Rock and Roller Coaster. Remember how we talked about including more bands instead of just Aerosmith?
Yes.
I think it needs that just because I feel like Aerosmith isn't as popular as maybe as it was. Like, I love Aerosmith, but I think including more relevant bands or even just like some other bands would be cool.
And while you say that, I think it's important to kind of keep the classic rock tradition
yes.
alive. So, like, you bring in a Queen element, you bring in Kiss, you bring in, some of those other Poison, Def Leppard.
Yes, please.
And now with the whole Stranger Things, tie into it, bring in Metallica.
Oh, you don't want to get into
That's
Stranger
your
Things
pull
right
right there. Is
Yeah.
to get Stranger Things fans hooked on
Yeah.
that Metallica piece of that ride, and it's going to blow up,
Yep.
not explode. You know what I mean? Not in a violent way, but just
Yes.
it's going to get back its popularity.
Candace. Yes.
Yeah. It's a good thought. The other one in Hollywood Studios that I think they This might be a little bit of an unpopular opinion, but do something different with Star Tours.
Burn it to the ground.
Since they have Galaxy's Edge now, they probably don't need Star Tours anymore.
No, they don't. So burn it to the ground and be done with it.
What would you do in that space? Like, it doesn't have to be that ride system or anything. What would you do with that space?
It's a lovely space. Just put like a rest area in it, or put another restaurant, or like a walk-up place, or something like. Because it's in a weird location anyway.
Yeah,
It's
that's
over in kind of Echo Lake area, but kind of in the ABC commissary area, and it's kind of disjointed and stupid. And just put something there that doesn't need any hype or any, like, just a place.
Well, there it is.
Yeah.
I have after hearing what it's about and how easily I get motion sickness, I have no desire to ride that ride, so they can do whatever.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what rides or what theming in Hollywood studios I feel like is missing. And honestly, I think what's missing from Hollywood studios right now is the original intent of a working studio.
So maybe that's what you put there.
Like a tour of a working studio, like a
Yeah.
smaller version of the Great Movie Ride.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Okay, I kind of had an idea, but it's a whole new ride instead of a reimagined ride.
Ooh.
But what if they did, on the Hollywood theme, kind of did tours of all the different, like, places in Hollywood studio, like how they would take you on Hollywood tours in Hollywood. But like, hey, this is Tower of Terror. This was built in blah, blah, blah. This is Rock and Roller Coaster. We're now on Sunset Boulevard. Like,
Almost put you on a double-decker bus kind of thing.
yeah.
And do like a famous places tour. That'd be kind of
Yeah.
neat. That would be kind of neat.
You don't like that?
Shut up.
You know, another thing they could do, like simulator attraction, so they didn't have to like tear a building down. Like they could do some sort of a flight simulator, like a war movie flight simulator to stay in the Hollywood Studios theme. Like, I know
War
Top
movie.
Gun is not. I know Top Gun isn't like Disney IP, but they could do some sort of a flight simulator, like a jet simulator or something like that.
You could. Or you could go back to Lariah's idea and do like a Soarin' type ride about Hollywood Studios and what it used to be.
What it used to be, and maybe
Yes.
even like if it's a Soarin' type ride, you fly down into actual Hollywood and say,
Yes.
here's the actual Sunset Boulevard. Now we're in Florida's Sunset Boulevard. Now here's the real ABC commissary. Now let's fly by the Florida ABC commissary and just back and forth across the country.
Yeah.
I would even like like a Soarin' ride, but just of like Disneyland and Disney World.
Well, I feel like now talking about it, the element or one of the elements that's missing from Hollywood Studios is the informative.
The edutainment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, like, you get that with Magic Kingdom, with Carousel of Progress, I feel like, and Animal
Hall of
Kingdom,
Presidents is pretty
and Hall of
informative.
Presidents.
It is. I mean, you're learning something.
You're definitely not there for fun.
Right.
I like that though. Like just sort of have a tour. Well, and like back in the day before they thought Galaxy's Edge was essential, they had the backlot tour, which that was a time investment in itself because that ride was actually 2 hours long. But you went through Catastrophe Canyon where they showed you how to do some of the special effects and stunts and that sort of thing for movies. And then you went through this backlot where there was like props. Like, I don't know if y'all remember the movie Flight of the Navigator. That was probably before your time. But the ship that they used in that movie was on that backlot. They had Walt Disney's private plane back there. They had, like, rolled by the front of the Golden Girls house. And then you rolled through the costume shop, which was amazing. and they were actually working on costumes as you were rolling through. So like you got to see some of that backstage stuff that I think kind of draws people to Disney in the first place, and kind of shows the tradition where they've come from and all of this stuff. But it was a big time investment because again, it was 2 hours long.
They were actually training you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So you could go on a smaller scale of that and just kind of still get the history and what it was originally intended for.
How movies are made.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, because when I was little, I remember before, on the VHS where they would have like the trailers, and then on Disney ones, they would have like commercials for Disney World, but then they would also have like behind the scenes of movies. And I just remember there was this one behind the scene of Lion King. And they were drawing Lion King or Mufasa or Simba, and they had a lion in the studio, and then it would cut to like Elton John singing his song. I distinctly remember that, and I just think it would be so cool to like walk into a place to see how they draw characters. And in before it was Disney Springs, downtown Disney, we went to this one store when
The
it
Art
was
of Disney.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, that place reminded me so much of that scene before the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so cool to me to see that behind the scenes of like the animation. So I think that would be so cool to see.
Well, and they did actually used to have an animation experience at Hollywood Studios before it was Hollywood Studios, back when it was MGM, where you could go in and you could watch an animator draw one of the characters. And like my first trip ever there, we went and we sat down and they drew the grandma from Mulan. And it was so cool to see like a blank piece of paper become this like almost living, breathing character in a matter of moments. It was just amazing.
And they do that over in Animal Kingdom now.
They do. At Rafiki's Planet Watch, you can actually sign up or go to a class and learn how to draw one of the animal characters.
See, I think that is so cool. Why are you laughing?
I just said I want to do that.
Oh,
No.
okay.
I'm adding it to the list.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
Laraya's dream vacation list keeps getting longer. It's going to have to be like a month-long trip.
Okay.
Darn.
I don't see a problem with that.
Yeah.
No. Okay, we are at about time for this one. I think we had some fantastic ideas in this episode. So I'm connected to a couple people that used to be Imagineers. I may forward this on and just see if they'll share it with their Imagineer friends and see if we can get some credit. Even if I just get a little plaque on the reimagined ride. Like, this idea came courtesy of hanging at the Hangar Bar. I'd be good
cool.
with that. I don't need paid. Just give me credit somewhere in Disney.
Mm-hmm.
How about lifetime passes and behind the scenes like Club 33 memberships and dinner with Josh tomorrow?
There you go. There it is.
Oh, and constant nights in Cinderella Castle.
Yeah, all of a sudden it'd be cheaper for them to just pay us.
They think.
Okay, I think that's going to wrap this one up. This was another fun episode to record. Thank you very much, ladies. And remember, everyone, there is a great, big, beautiful tomorrow.
And we'll see you real soon.